But please don't make a long list of don'ts. And once they're set, they must always remain visible. It's very important to have them there in the classroom on view. Now, another activity is to promote autonomy in the students, as well as to practice their fluency and their writing. This little activity is called How Can a Teacher Help Me? But it's really how can I help myself also. The best way to start off is, once again, brainstorm with the class all the different ways that a teacher can help her students and the ones where she can't help them. Then they can do the same in their groups about themselves. Which things can they do to help themselves learn and which things shouldn't they do? That's very important. So then ask the secretaries to write out their conclusions on the board. In small groups, they talk about it. They check that they have the language. Please check that they have the language to do it. And if not, if the group is still a very young group or they don't have the language, they could do it in their mother tongue if you think it's important to do the activity. Each group creates a wish list for the teacher and hands it in. Now, you have to promise that you look at them in the future and remember to refer to them every so often, not only for yourself, but for the children also. Remind them. Again, always remember to check their language, if they have it or if they don't have it. If not, it turns into a difficult activity. Now, maybe we can have some suggested activities for developing the different skills. These kind of activities, like the Find Someone Who, are very common activities. They're great. You can always adapt them to whatever you want. In this case, I wrote one specifically to be able to show you the point. And I've used one. I've used them before. I've used very similar ones to these, and it really works. What's the aim of the activity? It's to create group cohesion. It's to get to know your learners better. It's to review language and question framing. Now, what is the procedure really, or what are the typical questions? In this case, we're talking of, it's a whole class, starts off with the whole class. You ask some general questions from the chart. If necessary, you can help by drilling some of the questions. Now, then they explain to them that they have to go around. They have 3 spaces, filling in the names of 3 partners or classmates or friends who, for example, live next to the school, live far away, live next to their own home maybe, or near it. They might have a pet, ask them if they have a pet. They might own a bicycle, for example. They might like reading. It depends on the age and on the interests that you've detected or what you really want to know. This is how you fill in this Find Someone Who. Remember, please, to make it the right length, because it shouldn't be as long as this one. This one is just a long list of examples from where you can take some, but adapt them. I don't think it should be longer than 5, maybe 6. It'll depend, once again, on the level and the interests of the children or the adults that you have in the classroom. Okay, once they've completed it, they share their discoveries, their learnings, their findings in small groups. And in that case, it's important maybe for you as a teacher to take some notes to remind you or to help you remember some characteristics about the children. Because if you go around monitoring, you go around picking up bits of information, right? So this was the aim then of this Find Someone Who. Now, I'd like to propose a little survey, which once again is an activity we all know works well, and it works well in big groups also, in these multi-level large classrooms. What's the aim of the activity? Well, it's to create awareness of different needs and interests, it's to share them, and to get to know your learners better, in this case, you as a teacher. And they get to know each other better also. So what does the survey say? The survey has questions like, do you like music? How do you like to learn, really? So this is what we're trying to find out, what sort of characteristics they have. What are their needs? Do you like listening to cassettes or CDs? Do you like writing? Do you like working in groups? Do you like working alone? Or do you like moving around? You can ask them all the different questions concerning their type of learning. How do we do it? Well, the whole class, you brainstorm, you ask questions, you have to explain about the information, make sure that they know the sentences, that they know the vocabulary, and then once they complete it individually, obviously, and then once they've completed the first part, they can share it with a partner. Finally, you can get the whole class like asking, well, who likes being told stories, or who likes writing? And they all put their hands up, the ones who do, the ones who don't. That will give you a very good idea as to what their interests are, or what they think will help them learn easier. Then the whole class can reflect on the second part of the activity. In the second part of the activity, what we are doing is asking them the themes they're interested in. So according to that, there's a space for them to add something different. Once again, they do it individually, and then they share it, and again, the ones where, or the ones that are obviously the ones they like most, those go onto the board, and please remember and take notes, because these are important things that you'll have to refer to afterwards. A final reflection would be, ideally, to reflect with the children and show them how different, with the children or with the adults also, how different we are and how we like learning in different ways. And this is what's going to go in the classroom. There will be activities where somebody will feel fine, and there will be activities that I will like better than somebody else, but there'll always be activities for everybody. We only have to be a little bit patient. If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. Another of the things that is very important is to establish a daily learning routine. When I talk of routine, I don't talk of always the same, in the same boring way. What we're talking about here is, for example, a good routine is when you walk into the classroom, be able to say hello to them, ask about them, according to age, according to ability in the language. Either you can share a moment, or you can ask about the weather, or you can ask what day it is, or you can even share a bit of news from the television or radio or newspaper. Now, many teachers have found it interesting to write down the little plan of the day in one corner of the board. And you just go ticking off what goes on during the class. That gives the group a sense of achievement, because if I write down the first activity, second activity, third activity, and fourth, for example, and then I go ticking them off in the way that we do them, because the children have learned them or the adults have learned them, and we pass on to the next activity, that's very interesting how the class reacts to that. So maybe you could try it. At least give it a try. It's worth trying. Maybe it works in some groups, maybe it works in others.